Exciting news, the Planet Peterson store on Shopify is now open. Click the top link in the description to go to Shopify, where you can check out shirts, stickers, digital artwork, and more. Thank you.
So, are you an atheist or like just a scientific agnostic, or where do you stand there?
Well, I'm both.
Atheist agnostic?
Yeah.
Okay. So, are you without a god, or you just don't know?
I don't believe in one, but I don't think anybody can know that one exists.
Okay. So you don't believe that we could know God even if he did exist?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you an empiricist?
I guess so.
Okay. Is all that exists empirical sense data?
All that there are things that we don't know about, so no. Like in
Okay.
principle, they perhaps could be,
I'm asking,
but
what's
we
your
know that there are uh Gödel blew this out of the water too, because he proved that there are things that are true that we can't know.
are you talking about like his incompleteness theorem, or
Yeah.
right? Um, you could you interpret that as being that there are, because I took that, I see where that point is valid too, but took that to mean that there a system has to a system will an absolute system always has to be so like self-referential. In other words, you can't prove numbers without using numbers.
That's not what it means. That's not
Well,
what the incompleteness theorem means, but um
I kind of, because it's been a while since I studied it, but essentially they had to appeal to something outside of the equation, or the algorithm, was it, to determine what the answer would be, right? Because it would just keep creating like subsets of itself.
I mean, they didn't go outside of mathematics to do this.
Right, exactly. But they had to. No, anyways, I don't want to get lost in the weeds with the incompleteness theorem. But essentially, what I'm pointing to is that, so you don't have any objection with God's how he impugns his will and his judgment over his creation, right?
In principle, a infinitely powerful being could do those things. I
Right.
have serious problems with people going around saying that is why X particular thing happened, and I have serious problems with people saying they know with certainty that God speaks to me, or that what's happening now is the fulfillment of prophecies,
Okay.
and that like I literally I laughed so hard I think I
Yeah.
almost got a hernia last week. But I was talking to this guy, and he was like, "Oh, so you admit science can be wrong?" I was like, "Of course. You're the type of person that doesn't admit they can be wrong." And he said,
Yeah.
"That's not true." And then I said, "Is it possible Christianity's false?" And he said, "No." So
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think, yeah, it's interesting. I wrote a couple things down. So you wouldn't necessarily, you would at least concede that God could do things that to us, while they may seem out of our understanding and out of, let's say, our morality as human beings, he could do things in accordance to his, supreme and holy judgment that we can't comprehend and have necessarily a basis of understanding about.
yeah, any god could do that.
Right.
Or Satan could
Okay.
deceive you into thinking that you're enacting God's will, but what you're actually
Yeah.
doing is going against it. And none of those propositions are like, you cannot favor one over the other.
Okay. By what metric do you not favor one or the other? Um,
Because I'm agnostic.
right, but what's your standard of evaluating these transcendental claims if you're an empiricist? The way you come to know
Logic.
truth is through, okay, where is logic in the material world?
Logic is just how we think.
No. Where is it? Does it have an
I can't
actuality
get
to
you
it?
any. I can't get you any numbers either, but
Exactly.
it's part of our language.
Right. So is language material?
I don't think so.
Right. It's conceptual, right?
Yeah, I mean you could map it. I mean you could map it to brain states, which would make it physical in a
It
sense,
wouldn't
but
make it physical. It'd merely just be a description of what's happening.
if it can be mapped to something physical, then it is physical. This is why matter and energy are equivalent.
Okay, where's consciousness?
I don't even know what consciousness is.
So you wouldn't
Nobody
attribute a
does.
consciousness to the brain?
No, I think that's where it
Oh,
comes from. I just don't know
oh,
what
okay.
it is.
So there you go. So that's respectfully contradicting yourself there.
What?
Because you wouldn't attribute it to something physical, but then you would say that if it happens in the brain, then it's therefore physical.
I said I don't know what consciousness is.
Yeah, but you wouldn't disagree that it's we suspect with a high probability that it comes from the brain, right? As a materialist.
Yeah.
Okay. But then you said that if you can map it, it's therefore physical. So I'm asking
Yeah.
you, is conscious therefore physical if we can map it to brain states?
If we could, then I would say it is. All I
Oh,
said was I
you
don't know
can't
what
map,
consciousness is.
but you can map brain states, right? Theta waves, alpha waves, delta waves, right?
Yeah.
You can map brain states, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So is consciousness physical?
If that's merely what it is, then yeah. I'm just telling you I don't know what consciousness is.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate the honesty in that. I don't mean to get you in a gotcha, but I want to be sure that I understand where you stand, right? Because you would have to then at least concede that there are things about our reality that are not strictly material, like this claim that
No.
I'm making, right?
No,
This
like
claim that I'm making, hold on, this claim that I'm making is not material, right? The meaning of my words is not a material substance that gets transferred through space and time, right?
sure, but that doesn't mean that it's non-physical.
No, it is non-physical because where then is it?
Well, where is energy?
Right. Okay.
But
Exactly.
energy
This.
is physical.
Okay.
Okay, let me. So Newton didn't know why the apple fell. He described it mathematically, but he had no idea why it happened. But it wasn't a miracle, and it wasn't non physical. Just because you don't know something.
That's
Eventually,
fine.
we learned that it's general relativity, which is physical because it's caused by mass, right? So,
O-
I
Okay, but the laws that govern the motion of those bodies is not physical, right?
I don't know what you mean by non-physical. I mean
It's tra-
because
it's they're abstract
gravity
metaphysical
occurs
conceptions, right?
because gravity is caused by objects with mass. It's very much physical.
Right, but these conceptions that you keep referring to, like gravity, right, and laws of physics, these are concepts that don't exist in the material world, like you yourself alluded to, that logic can't be found under a tree or be observed under a microscope, right? So
Yeah,
if they are
we
indeed
think about them with
metaphysical and
we think about them with our brains.
oh, that's yeah, I would not disagree that our brain can facilitate the interaction with these uh, real conceptions about our reality, right? I
Okay.
wouldn't disagree with that part.
Where's this going though?
So this is going. I'm trying to point to a metaphysical reality that you, as a materialist, reject, but take for granted and use, because the regularity in nature that you appeal to conduct the scientific method to begin with is not a physical conception. It's not.
What?
It's not
Nature
physical.
is not the consistency of
No, no,
nature
no,
is
not nature, but
non-physical?
the laws that govern nature are not physical, right?
Who says that?
Philosophers say this, right? The laws of physics are not physical, right?
Says who? What is it?
I'm saying we
What does
observe them
that
through the
mean?
physical world, but the speed of light is not found somewhere in the universe written out in its numerical form, right?
That's
It's
what
not a solid
non-physical.
object.
That's what non-physical means.
It's
Heat
transcendent, right? It's metaphysical. It's beyond the physical,
is
right?
it? Because you also cannot give me heat or light, but they aren't non-physical.
Can you repeat? Sorry, I got a call. Can you repeat that again?
You cannot give me light or heat, but those things are not non-physical.
Okay,
So
no,
like
but
these laws that govern the motions of the universe and matter in the universe,
yeah,
I don't think they're non-physical because they
they
don't exist
influence.
unless a physical universe exists.
Oh, dude, but you're begging the question because the formation of the universe formed in congruence with these laws. So the laws must have pre-existed the universe, right?
Says who?
Says logic.
How?
Because if did the universe form according to law-like occurrences and processes?
I don't think it was a miracle, so I would say I would
That's
bet
not
that
what
it
I'm
was.
asking. Did it form according to law-like processes?
Again, if it wasn't a miracle, then it would
Did it
be.
form according to law-like processes?
If it wasn't a miracle, then
Yeah.
it would be some sort of naturalistic process, therefore, yes.
Okay, so they did form, right? So did the laws that govern the universe have to pre-exist the universe? Logically speaking, yes, they would have. Because how
No.
could you have the laws of physics of developing at the same time that the universe is exploding?
The laws of physics, so that's not preceding the universe. But unless the universe exists, there are no natural laws because the universe is the only thing that exists.
Can you repeat the claim?
If the universe was produced by these, so the natural laws can't exist independently of the universe because the universe is the only thing that exists.
Okay, but are the laws of logic found, the laws that govern the universe found in the universe physically, brother?
The laws of
Physically.
logic or the heat is not something that you cannot get me some heat,
That's
but
fine.
it is physical. Okay,
That's
just
fine, but
okay.
it's a
If
category
a
error because you're
Mendoza,
describing a.
if a universe does not exist, how does gravity exist if a universe doesn't exist?
Of course, the observation would have to, the regularity in nature would have to precede the observation. But you're begging the question. I'm asking, how does the universe exist such that we can observe it if it's all just random chaos?
It's not so that
So
has
evolution
nothing
didn't.
at all to do with anything we've been talking about up to this point.
I
But
know it's not,
also,
but it's
you
another.
made a
It's another
horrible
critique to
straw
the
man
worldview.
just now. The universe is not random chaos.
Okay, sorry. Did we not evolve according to random genetic mutations?
Absolutely not. Not according to randomness. No, natural selection
Oh,
is very
according
much
to what?
non-random.
According to what? Sorry. Well, how did we evolve?
Natural selection is not random.
Okay, is it according to law-like processes?
Yes, it's called Hardy. There are actual like mathematical laws that
Right,
describe
right.
evolution.
So those laws are not found in empirical in material, right?
Again, there is no material light either, but it's not non-physical.
It doesn't matter. We can interact with non-material substances because I
Logic
would
is not a
maintain that logic has a
substance.
substance that is not material. Just like I would say that God
Then
has a
what is it?
substance that is immaterial.
That's a
But
massive
you
claim. So what
assume
is it then?
what I'm saying is that you take for granted the metaphysical structure of the universe by doing something as simple as conducting the scientific method because the preconditions necessary for you to be able to even construct an experiment, right? The regularity in nature, the identity, the law of identity,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Math,
yep, yep,
numbers,
yep, yep,
etc.
yep.
These things are not physical.
Okay, that's great. So
So they
let's just
necessitate a transcendental universal mind that can be the
no
grounding
they
source.
don't. What a
They
massive
absolutely do
leap.
because
No,
we're
they
not
don't.
we're not constructing them, right? Are
What?
we constructing that? Are we discovering or are we
Of course we're
creating?
discovering them.
Okay,
We
thank you.
discover new mathematical principles all the time.
Right, so it pre-exists our discovery of them, right? They were there before we found them,
Yeah?
and they got there
They
by.
exist in the universe.
And do you believe things can be created out of nothing?
No, but you do.
Okay, no, I think they can be created from a creator.
Out of what?
It's ex nihilo, exactly. It's out of nothing,
There you
but
go. Special pleading.
it doesn't matter. No, it because you can.
If
Dude,
I'm doing special pleading,
you
it
wouldn't
doesn't
say that
matter.
the Rubik's cube got there randomly in a world that's random chaos, right? I'll give
Yeah,
you another example how you think the world is random chaos, right?
I
When
don't.
you,
Don't tell me what I believe in.
okay,
Uh,
sorry, yeah, you're right. I
did you
don't know, you
just
know.
turn a page to get to your next like?
Well, I wrote down notes when you were talking to the other guy. You said
Can
you
we
prefer
hold
better
hold
things.
hold, hold on? Time out. Because what were we talking about before this? Um. Oh God, there was
Sorry, brother,
something
I
that
get
I
a little
wanted to.
heated, but I
There was
appreciate
something
the
I
convo,
wanted to
bro.
go back to, and now I don't remember what it was.
I appreciate the convo, bro. It's all in good. It's in good faith,
Whatever.
brother.
I don't remember. So go ahead. I
Could
don't
I just
remember.
last one last question, and I think you can move on to the next guest. But I appreciate your time anyway.
No, I'm having fun. You can stay as long as you want.
When you appealed to better things when you were talking to the gentleman, he said you aspire to do better things, right?
Who who did I say that to, and what
You
were
were
we talking
talking
about?
about how you were when you would talk to people, you would just spout claims and spout claims and spout claims, like
Okay, now I remember. Yep,
one to another, and then you said, "I don't do that
yep,
anymore. I aspire to do, I just want to. I don't know if you use aspire, but you just said I'm on to better things."
yep.
Okay. Do you think that your standard of better should be applied universally?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair answer. Um, so, do you think that it
Like,
shouldn't?
okay, if so, should we do things that are good versus things that are bad?
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no.
That I think universally should apply. Yes.
Absolutely agreed, brother. That I'm not in contention with you there. Where I am in contention is what is good and what is bad, and before we you define it or try to describe it, you're gonna have to give a grounding source for how you know that epistemically, right? Other than your own subjective experience or preference, because realistically, and this is the problem that I find with the atheist worldview as well, is that if the moral problem of the atheists is that they don't have an objective moral standard that can be applied universally.
Neither do you.
Well, well, that's because if you don't adhere or follow the commands, then yeah, of course you have the free will to live subjectively.
No,
But
no,
I can give a grounding justification.
you do not have a standard,
Okay, but so you would
and
consider,
you'll contradict yourself in
would you
about.
concede that you don't either?
I'm not really sure. I'm not a moral realist, but I'm not a moral anti-realist either. I don't
Right.
really spend a ton of time thinking about these things. There are some people that are atheists that think that moral facts exist, and if that's the case, then we can appeal to them. But I I find it deeply ironic when theists try to think that they have like a leg up on this because
Well,
it makes literally no sense
well, that
whatsoever.
I mean that's fine. You can say that, but you would at least
I can
concede
prove
that
it.
there's no, no. You okay? That's fine. Maybe you can prove it, but you would concede that you don't have you can't enforce an objective moral standard. There is no such thing as an objective moral standard in your worldview, right?
There might be. I don't have a strong position one way or the other about it.
Okay, so the Christian does have a strong position. Okay, so in the moral argument, the Christian can't actually give you a proper account or a proper argumentation as to why we ought follow the commandments of God, right?
So
And
you
therefore,
derive oughts
that
from is's.
no, that's the problem that you have because you appeal to sense data, to empiricism, to descriptive knowledge to give you prescriptions, and you can't do that. But you do
I
it.
can't do that.
How do you arrive? How do you get prescriptions from descriptions?
How do I derive? How do I get oughts from is's?
Yeah, you
No,
can.
I didn't say that you should do that, but you do that, and you said you can.
Also, how do I do that? Please.
I said you. I asked you if you do that, and you said yes.
Do I get oughts from is this? No, I said no, I don't.
Okay.
And if I said yes, then I would.
Is God good?
Is God good? It's one of his qualities. He
So we
does
ought
his substance.
so we should follow his commandments because He is good.
Yes, and he
That's deriving an ought from an is.
you're committing a fallacy, and I'm not
No,
exactly
I'm
sure what it's
not.
called because you're equivocating on the is part because it's a different category of isness, right?
Jeez.
Something is this way, right, as opposed to describing a quality about a person.
A good look with that. So tell me something that's wrong.
Tell me something that's wrong.
Yes.
Disobeying God. The first
Okay.
commandment.
So then
I'm
that
telling you
is
from my
okay.
worldview,
So
the first commandment
then
is.
anything is permissible.
How do you arrive there?
If God told you to,
No. Not if. Does God? Does my God tell me to what? No. Tell me what my God tells
no,
me to do.
it's not what happens. It's the hypothetical tests out the logic of the claim.
Do
So if
you
God
know?
told you to kill somebody and eat their baby, would you do it?
No, because it wouldn't be. It wouldn't. That wouldn't be God.
So it's up to you to determine what God is capable of doing and what God would
No, it's
command.
not. It's not necessarily up to me. I'm
Okay,
following
so
a
what if God
tradition.
told
That's
you to kill somebody and eat their baby?
well, I wouldn't do it.
Well, then that would be wrong. You'd be disobeying God.
Well, no, because it wouldn't just be my necessarily interpretation of it. I would have a body of people to appeal this to and say, is this in accordance with what is traditionally handed down and
God
believed?
told you to do this.
I'm sorry, but this is the problem, right?
What? This is your problem. If God
No.
told you to kill somebody and eat their baby, you wouldn't do it. So you're breaking your own moral code. See, I told you this would take 10 seconds.
Okay, maybe I think it's that you're committing like a sort of category error that I can't necessarily.
No, I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe you get me on that point. I'll concede on the point. Okay. So how about can you derive a objective universal standard from your position?
Can I apply an objective universal standard from my position? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Okay, so you don't.
Like, what
You
does
don't.
it mean to be objective?
That it applies universally, that it's invariant, that it's unchanging, the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, applicable 10,000 light years away, here, across the world, right? It
So
applies
if
at all times.
if humans go around all killing each other, then humans will cease to exist. That will always be the case. So maybe we shouldn't do that. Okay, there.
But maybe we should. You can't appeal to a biological.
So there we go. Like,
No. This is the
if
internal
we
critique
do that,
part.
then we will
You
cease
internal
to
critique me,
exist.
so I'm internally critiquing your worldview now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
So you're asking me
what's
why shouldn't we do this?
why
So you're
should we
asking
survive
me,
if death is
yeah, so
equally
you're
a
asking
part
me
of
to
life?
derive an ought from an is. And I thought the deal was you can't derive an ought from an is. You can just tell us what things are. But you can derive oughts from ises.
I did not claim that I can derive an ought from an is.
Should we is God good? Yes.
Dude, because
So we should follow God's commandments because they are good? Yes. That is an ought from an is.
I'm thinking about it because I can handle the heat, bro. I'm all good. I
Dude,
appreciate
no,
it.
you are like genuinely nice to talk to, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. No, this is good because I argue my atheist friends all the time. So I'm not. I conceded on one point, but the battle is just getting started, brother.
I like that. That's funny.
All right. So where were we? Okay. Offerman is okay. You can't derive an objective moral standard, right?
People come up with moral standards. Are they
Sure.
objective? Well, what does that mean? Do you
Well,
have an objective in mind? If your objective is
can
the betterment of your species, then there are things we clearly know which are
yeah.
better to do than other things.
No, okay, but you just said you can't derive an ought from an is. So how would you derive an ought from an is from an evolutionary, empirical, materialistic worldview?
So if the objective is for your species to do well, then we know what sorts of
You're
things if
assuming
you
that
do
that's the objective, right?
uh
You're
Yeah,
assuming that
if that's
survival
the
is the highest
objective.
imperative,
We
right?
have to decide what the objective is.
You're assuming is survival the highest imperative then, the highest value?
There doesn't have to be a highest. There can
Okay.
be things that are better than other things, but there doesn't have to be the best thing.
Okay. So so survivability is not the we shouldn't survive at all costs.
At all costs, absolutely not. No, that's a license to do horrendous
Okay,
things.
maybe not at all costs, but so then survivability would not be something that you would say is a function of life. Ensuring.
No, that's fundamentally what life does. Yeah, so
Okay,
that
so
could be
it
the
is
objective.
you're deriving if that's what life does and that's what life is, right? Then should we survive?
Sure. So again, I'm not telling you we should. I'm saying if the objective
Okay.
is to survive,
Okay.
these are the things we know
You
will.
are telling me we should because you said that we should abandon fairy tales if we're to get along and progress as a society, which implies that you want to survive, right?
Yes. So is that an ought
Okay.
from an
Thank you.
is? I'm
Yes.
not telling you what. So you could say that that's an ought from an is, but what
Right.
I think of it as is we know that if you do these things, then these things will happen. I'm not telling you you
Right.
should do those
Right.
things,
That
but
doesn't
I
tell
guess
you
at
what.
the same
Right.
time I kind of am because I'm telling you, well, if the objective is to survive, these are the things we know if you do them, you will survive.
Right.
So is that the same as saying you should do these things? Well, I'm just telling you what will work. There are also many ways to
Right.
skin a cat, so it doesn't
Work.
have to be that one particular thing, right? Like in the United States, we're deeply superstitious, but we have a First Amendment, which I think has been we were the first secular republic in the history of the planet, and I think it was one of the uh, boldest things that had ever been done, and I think that it's a major reason why we're still hanging on despite despite everything. So
Right. So at least maybe you can look to my worldview and say, okay, maybe your morality is in a way subjective, but
yeah,
I still have a moral standard though, right?
well, do
I
you?
still have a Ten Commandments that I ought abide by, right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
There.
there are humanist manifestos that we could appeal to,
Right. Yeah.
but you're
Okay.
just gonna say mine's better because God, and it's like, well, I mean, what does that
Well,
even mean?
well, for example, something like the institution of marriage, which is a Christian tradition, would promote the survival ability and fruition of families, right?
Yeah, but I think it also does horrible. I think if you take
What?
a very strict interpretation of it,
Yeah.
there's horrible implications for that. Like
Okay.
I
Well,
actually
you could argue
listen.
that from a relativistic moral standard, right? Horrible, bad, we ought not do it. That's a your moral standard, but your moral standard doesn't apply universally, right?
Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Like
Wait,
so,
wait,
for
no, no, no,
example,
that's not an
Jesus.
answer. So does it or does it not? Yes or no? You can't
No,
say
I
maybe
don't
it does,
actually
maybe
know
it doesn't.
because I'm
I can
not a
tell you
moral.
mine, yes. Even though you can point out maybe
Well, you
some
claim that it does. I don't know. That's why I said maybe yes,
yeah,
maybe
but
no.
taking the agnostic sort of nihilistic being your epistemic nihilism saying, "Oh, I just you could just never know," is not it. I could just say, "Well, you could just never know God, but God exists." You could say, "I could just never know, but this is the way it is." Right? So, what
I
I'm
mean, if
trying
we
to
don't, if
point,
we can still like moral facts could exist if God doesn't exist because we never got
yes,
into
but what would
Euthyphro. But why does God
how
tell us
would
to
you
do
download
things?
facts and
Because they're
consensus?
good. Well, then goodness is a quality that exists independently of God, and we can reason our way to it. But like on the marriage thing
Well,
specifically, like what I wanted to say was, I was listening to the Gospel of Matthew the other day, and Jesus says you cannot separate a marriage except for unchastity. I was like, really? So you can beat the ever living fuck out of your wife and she can't like divorce you? That's super messed up.
well, that's absolutely untrue because we see that happen all the time, brother. So that's
But
not a
what if
fair
we
argument.
only did what Jesus said? Because Jesus said the only reason that you can
No.
ever issue a divorce certificate is for unchastity.
Yeah, but that would be dependent on your specific interpretation of that specific text. Isolating it from the rest of the Bible doesn't help because I'm sure you've heard this before. You can't just quote mine and focus on one particular verse and not take it contextually.
Okay, so where in the Bible does God or Jesus say something to the effect of, if a man brutalizes his wife, she should have the freedom to leave him?
He doesn't. It doesn't. I can't point to where in the Bible it says it. That doesn't mean it's not there, right? But regardless, it's not in congruence with the rest of the commandments, right? Loving God and loving your neighbor is not beating them to a pulp, right? That includes your wife
In
specifically.
a society
Because in
that
a
treated
union,
women
hold on,
as property, that is completely irrelevant.
dude, we don't believe that women are property.
You and
That's
I
that.
don't, but they did.
Who did?
They did. If a man rapes a woman, all he has to do is pay a fine to his father, and then she's forced to marry him.
Where's that? Like Old Testament you're talking about?
Well, God's morality is unchanging, so I don't think it really matters which testament it's in.
No, no, no. You're equivocating human morality, like what humans do with God's morality. Again, a problem.
If you want to take the position that it's okay for a woman to be forced to marry her
I'm
rapist
not
as long
taking
as
that
he pays
position.
her
That's not what I said. So
dad
don't be
some
disingenuous,
shekels
brother.
of silver, then you go ahead. You
Don't
go
be
right ahead.
disingenuous because that's not what I said. I'm saying that because humans do bad things doesn't
Yes, you
mean that it
did.
was reflective of God's moral character.
That that was a rule that came from God. God said, if this happens, do this.
Okay. Yes. All right. Fair. But
Okay.
okay. But still, but that you would again be presupposing that your moral judgment is superior to God's, right? So
Yes,
it would be of
well,
equal value, right?
equal value.
Yeah, your moral judgment is worth as much salt as my God's, right?
I don't know what that means.
So your moral authority and standard is as universal as my God's, right? According to you.
I
You're
I, have,
saying
I
my
don't know what
my
that
God
means.
has no authority, right? My God has no authority. It's just my own subjective standard, right? But yours is as well, right?
I don't. I actually don't really know what you mean by that.
Okay.
Like,
So
is what God says no more valuable than what I say?
yeah, exactly. From your worldview, not from mine. I'm asking you if God's word to you is equal in value to another random Joe Schmoes or Chat GPT's words, for instance.
Chat GPT. I have Chat GPT pulled up right over here.
Right. So would you take Chat GPT's word over God's word, the Christian God's word?
If it was more reasonable, then I mean, probably. I think we should
Yeah,
appeal
but
to reason.
reason assumes a
Well,
standard,
okay.
right? That's ultimately subjective, right?
If well, reason can't exist unless reality exists. So does God
Exactly.
does God
And
command thing? Does God have
reality
reasons
can't
for
exist if something didn't create
Mendoza?
it.
Yeah, but that thing doesn't have to be God. Mendoza,
Okay,
does
what is
God
it then? What is it? How can something?
the
How can?
universe?
All right. How can something without personhood, will, and intent create? How can something without will and intent be created? Have you ever seen something created that was not created with will and intent?
There was a hurricane that hit Mexico the other day. That was created out of something that with no will or intent. Not something that
Well,
was random. Something that is governed by natural order, natural laws. But yeah,
we're talking about something outside of the created order, right? Something that we create. If we see a phone sitting there, right? If you see a watch sitting there, right, like the watchmaker, you're not going to
you
assume
can't
that.
ask me, are things that are created? That's silly. Yes, things are created without a teleology, such as hurricanes and pyrite
Right. So if
crystals.
there's no purpose in your worldview, then there also is no morality.
I don't see how that would necessarily be the case. But
Because, for example, from my worldview, right, the purpose is to ultimately enter into the kingdom of God
yeah,
and
which is
spend.
why if God told you to kill somebody and eat their babies, you would do it.
No, because
Yes, you would.
I
Well,
wouldn't
actually, you said you
personally.
wouldn't. If God said you're going to go to hell unless you do this, you would do it.
Yeah,
So
but you see,
God's
that's
the
something that's
divine
highly.
command theory gives you license to do literally anything, which means nothing is immoral because God can command anything, which means any action can be moral. So there's no such thing as a standard of these are the wrong things, these are the right things.
Well, well, if okay, I see what you're getting to, like, and I don't have necessarily the answer right now. I'm gonna you bet your ass I'm gonna keep looking as to how this is resolved.
I
But
I encourage you to.
there has to
Yes.
be, just because there, there are, let's say, like, I don't even know if that's the right term, but let's just say special exceptions that God takes. Right? It doesn't therefore discredit the possibility that there is something that is objective, even though you have to make an exception, right? Because it's objectively wrong from my
So
perspective
sure.
to kill, but we still uphold capital punishment, right?
Yeah, I don't think we should. Um, so
Okay,
this gets me
okay.
to this gets so
You don't think we should kill? Why not?
I don't think we should do capital punishment.
Okay, okay. Should we? So the death penalty exists?
No, no, I don't think the
Right.
government has the right to decide who lives and who dies.
Who does?
Who do, I who does? So I mean, you would say God does, but I would say that
Well,
nobody
when we go to
does.
war, we're deciding that those people die and we live, right?
I don't think we should go to war.
Okay, based on what?
I think you should defend yourself, but not necessarily go to war.
Okay, I mean that's fair, but
So can I? I've been trying to ask this question for a while.
go ahead.
Um, does God have reasons for commanding the things that He does?
Sure.
Well, then we can appeal to reason to figure out what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah, that would be presupposing that you have God's reason.
It doesn't have to be God's reason.
Yeah, we of course it would have to be God's reason if it's going to be a one-to-one
Reason is a tool
analogy
that
from
God
my world.
uses. It's literally transcends God.
Reason is an uncreated energy of God. Yes, it
I
pre-exists
what the
creation.
hell does that mean?
So it means that it's uncreated. It means that it pre-exists creation. Like I'm alluding to,
Why
for
would
example,
that be the case?
because in order for the universe, for example, to form and develop according to law-like process, those laws have to pre-exist its creation.
I
Otherwise, what?
really don't understand where you get the they must pre-exist the
Okay,
universe.
right. So you're telling me that the laws of physics developed as the universe developed. So how could something
They could
develop
have
at all if
developed at
it's
the
all
same
random chaos?
why so yeah, we went over this earlier. It's not
No, no,
random.
no. It's
But
I'm
why
gonna
can
keep
they
pressing on
not
it because you haven't.
it's not random. But
So it's
we
according
can
to
describe
law-like process, then, no?
Mendoza, we can describe the laws of physics with equations. It's not random. But also,
Oh my gosh.
why can
Of
they
course, it's
not
not random.
why
Can't tell me how you can describe them though. You can't tell me how they
F
exist such that they can be described, right?
gravity is described by general relativity.
Can the
So
laws of physics
why
describe and tell you how the laws of physics got there?
not yet? A theory of everything
Okay,
perhaps
thank you.
could.
Thank you.
So
So, okay, hold on.
why
You said you can't prove it yet, but
I
you hold to that, right?
I need to ask you this question.
Right.
Why
But you
is it the
can't prove
case
that how the laws of physics are there yet, but you hold that they're true, right?
why is it the case
So
that
if that's the case and you want to hold to that standard, then hold on, I'm not gonna let you get away with it. And then I'll give you the
I'm not
time, I
answering your
promise.
question because I have a different question that I haven't been
Okay,
able
but
to
don't
ask.
pivot because this is fundamental
I'm
right
not
here. Don't
pivoting. I'm
pivot.
actually sticking to what you said earlier.
Okay,
You're
I will let you
pivoting.
press me as long as you want. Just let me finish this point. Okay? You just said that you don't know how the laws of physics can't explain the existence of the laws of physics, right?
I mean, they may just be
Okay.
brute facts.
That's fine. You may just hold to that as being fact. You may just say, okay, they're true, even though I can't necessarily prove it
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
not impossible.
Right. So then you would have to concede that it's not impossible that God exists just because you can't prove him yet.
Of course, it's not impossible. I
Okay,
don't think
then.
it could be proven.
So your contention is with the Christian God in particular, right?
With any god.
Except the God that created possibly created your world.
What?
Well, you said that you don't believe that there's not a God.
Yeah?
Okay, so that's two contradictory statements, right? You said
No, it's
you're,
not. What
you're
do you I
saying
don't
there
I have
is
no
no
idea what
God,
you're
but
trying to
then you're
say.
also saying at the same time that if
Any
there's
God could
not a God, you
exist.
just don't know, you can't prove if he exists.
Yeah, that's not a contradiction.
Yes, you're saying there is no God.
No, I never said that.
Okay, there is no. Okay, so you don't believe that there's no God. So you do believe there's a God. You just can't know.
No, I don't believe that there I don't believe in God.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You don't believe in God, but you believe that there is a God that you can't possibly
No.
know. Okay. Okay, let's
I
let's
don't believe anybody I don't for all we know, Greek mythology is true. But we don't know.
okay.
Any God could exist.
Any God could exist. And you think that that's somehow more coherent of a claim than saying that only one God exists? So any God could exist, right? So comparing at a paradigmatic level, right? We're
If you think
comparing.
monotheism is statistically more likely than polytheism, then okay. But the problem is, you can't prove to me that Spanky is the real creator of the universe.
Is there a historical attestation to Spanky?
It's written on the hearts of all men.
Yeah, it's clearly written
Can we
into Spanky too.
can I get back to my original question?
Go ahead. Yeah, you didn't answer, but okay, go ahead.
So, um, you said that
You
the
pivoted
laws of
there. I'm gonna bring
physics
you back to that question next time we talk, but all good.
you said the laws of physics must pre-exist or predate the universe or whatever. Why
Right.
can they not begin to exist at the same time?
Because then you would have moments in time that didn't develop to law-like process and therefore random, which is
That's
contradictory
not
according to
that's not
you.
ran. How is that? That's not a description of randomness.
Okay, so if it doesn't unfold and develop according to law-like processes and order, then what? How does it develop?
They do, but they develop at the same time.
So there's a time where the laws of physics don't exist,
No,
right?
there is no time when they don't exist. They
Would you
begin to
say that
exist at the
something is
same time.
complete as it develops? Is something complete at the same time it's developing?
There's no such thing as like before these things happened. They
Dude,
begin to
of course
exist
there's
at the
not
same
in your
time.
worldview. Of course there's not. I'm telling you how it's impossible that it isn't that way, right? It's impossible that
Is God
it's impossible
timeless?
he's outside. Of course he is.
Then he can't do anything. You
Brother,
cannot have cause and
you don't
effect with no
understand
time.
Trinitarian metaphysics because our God is tripartite, okay? He has a personhood. That is the person of Jesus Christ, right?
What does that have to do with being timeless?
Because you're saying we can't know him if he's timeless, he's useless because he exists
That's
outside of
not what we're
creation.
talking about.
Okay, so tell me, what is it we're talking about? You saying, why did you
If
say
God
that
is
he's
timeless,
useless if
then
he's
he can't.
timeless?
If God is timeless, then he can't do anything. Nothing can
Brother,
occur in a universe where. Okay, describe what this universe would be like if time ceased to exist.
how could I describe to you that? Dude, timeless doesn't mean time doesn't exist.
Yes, it does.
Dude, the creator is not his creation, brother. You're equivocating on the two. Okay? The creation exists distinct from the creator. Even if God was eternal, which he is, then that doesn't mean that his creation can't exist within temporality.
That's that's a. It's not exactly an infinite regression, but there's a. You can't have an
Well,
infinite
you're just
span of
saying,
time going
oh, then who
backwards.
created God, bro? Who created God?
I
Of
didn't
course.
say that.
No, but that's where this sort of logic reason comes
Well,
up.
it is one thing we could talk about, and you'd have to do special pleading to say, look,
Yes.
all of
Yeah.
creation has to be created, but not the creator of creation. That's
Yeah.
called special pleading.
Okay, maybe I can say that God is the absolute subject. So there is a paradoxical nature to it, but of course, God by his nature would.
If you believe in paradoxes, then you don't believe in anything.
Okay, tell me the paradox where morality is objective and also subjective. Tell me about that one.
I never said that it is.
Okay, so it's not objective, so it's subjective.
It could be objective.
It could be
I didn't.
subjective, right? You don't know. So you don't have an answer. So therefore, it
You're
defaults to the
pretending
next
that I
person
don't.
that thinks they do know the answer.
What you're doing is you're saying that the person that says I don't know is taking the opposite position of you, and that's not proper. That's
Okay, but
naughty,
saying
naughty,
that you
naughty.
don't know the truth, if you
Naughty,
don't know the
naughty, naughty,
truth,
naughty.
little fucker.
Haven't been called that ever in one of these lives. I got called a little bitch the other day in my at school. That was funny.
Well, how tall are you, bro? I'm 5'6".
No, I'm the teacher, and I got called that. It's pretty funny.
Oh, you're an actual teacher?
Yeah,
Like at a school?
yeah.
What grade?
High school.
All right, on. So you're probably one of the cooler ones. The kids like you, except the ones that call you bitch.
Oh, did he accept that one? Oh man, dude, Mendoza. I would love for you to come back, but we have been talking for
Yeah,
probably
all
a
good, bro.
while, and I
All
have
good.
I have a lot of guests.
Yeah, all good,
So
man.
like
Appreciate
literally
the time.
come back anytime. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, follow me back, bro.
All right, sounds good. I do.
Cheers.
Just so you know, I do these every Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time.